a tackler, and he doesn't stop until the whistle blows, and that's the kind of effort that I think Green Bay's defense has needed for a while. And I think he solidified his roster spot tonight with that pick six.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because, I mean, that means he's supposed to be in a spot where he is, and he was following behind a tight end just a little bit, just in case there was, like, any quarterback trying to run out of the pocket, and he was there. I mean, it just shows him in the right place, right time, and he's been there for a lot in the preseason. He's missed a couple of tackles here and there, but he's a rookie, but he's making more pros than cons for his resume to keep him on the 53.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely agree.
So my guy that I've been trying to keep an eye out for, the kicker, Sam Ficken. I watched him make an extra point. I watched Crosby miss an extra point. And I told Jay a minute ago when it happened, I'm like, I think Ficken just solidified the kicker job, because this is just, I don't know. I'm ready to move on from Crosby. He missed an extra point in preseason. This should be nothing but muscle memory for him. And we're paying him $5 million just to do one job.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I know Mason Crosby's our veteran guy, and he's done a lot for Green Bay as far as kicking. I believe he's their points leader, if I'm not mistaken. But as far as he goes, I mean, yeah, you just mentioned it. He missed that extra point, and that's a bad thing. You can't have a veteran guy missing a short extra point like that. And that's, like you said, it should be just muscle memory. But again, he missed it, and I think the only reason why Ficken would end up making the roster would be because of either Mason Crosby's doing bad, or it's because of money, because of Mason Crosby asking for a certain amount of money that Green Bay can't pay him, or he's asking for too much.
Well, I mean, I understand special teams is a important unit, just as offense and defense. But when I look at it, you've got guys next year of Kenny Clark, David Bakhtiari, and Blake Martinez who are going to have medium to big size contracts, and you need space for that. And with cutting someone like Crosby, it's going to open up $5 million cap room. It's given us a little below $20 million, and from what it looks like, we might be getting another $4 to $5 million from getting rid of possibly Lane Taylor, from what I've been reading lately. But either way, I mean, Crosby's money, like I said, for what we're paying him to miss extra points in preseason, it's just, I'm ready to move on, especially after the Lions game last year, because it's just throwing deja vu at me with that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, yeah, after the Lions game last year, that was just, I think he missed, 5 field goals or 4 field goals and extra points, something like that.
Yep, 13 points we could have had back. So it's like Rodgers and the Packers played in a handicap game against themselves. And if he had made 2 kicks and made 6 points, we would have been within 5 points and had a game-winning drive possibly with Rodgers and the way he was playing that game. I think he dropped 400 yards that game. It was one of his best passing yard games. And Devontae Adams had a career night too that night. He was tearing it up. And if you take 2 of those kicks or even 4 points, you're still putting yourself in a tying situation or a winning position. So to me, a kicker that's getting paid one of the higher premiums on the roster you shouldn't have to worry about him.
Yep, I completely agree. Yep.
I know I'm harping about a kicker too much. Yeah, I know.
No, you're not harping about a kicker too much, because I have made this point before, and I said it when I was on the Full Monty Football Show that you can listen to on Nuts and Bolts Sports on Blog Talk Radio, is that special teams has been something the Packers have lost games or not had better field position, because the entirety of the Mike McCarthy era, it felt like we were a two out of 3 phase football team, and everybody else started to play 3-phase ball. And like I said to him, I saw teams over at least the last 5 years either change their playoff position and gain a bye or win a division or get the 5th seed instead of the 6th seed, or even make it into the playoffs off of special teams plays, whether it be a kick return, a punt return, a fake field goal, a fake punt, just stuff we didn't see. And so for me, I'm on board if Crosby gets cut because it shows that we're not going to be complacent with nepotism over a name and who he is. It's got to be about the importance of having a three-phase football team so that they have a chance to win games where not everybody is just, on fire. Special teams can win you games when both the offense and the defense aren't playing necessarily bad, but aren't doing great. And then that special teams gives you a spark, and it just changes things. And Green Bay has been dying for it, so I am so on board for the importance of special teams with Matt LaFleur.
I would definitely agree with that statement. Over the years, obviously with Mike McCarthy, Green Bay special teams struggled big time. And I'm hoping the same with you, that Matt LaFleur and his staff, as far as special teams goes, I think that they're going to be much improved in that aspect this year.
Well, special teams coordinator Sean Meninga is actually, even though he came from a little bit smaller schools, he still has respect among the college level because his special team units were usually highly ranked in the FBS or throughout NCAA. So, I mean, through that just shows if you come from a small school but the teams respect your units and you're graded high, I mean, that's enough for me. Put him in there, because the people we brought in before, it was just, we hope we can get it going. I think Sean Meninga knows what he's doing, because it seems like he always has the right special teams players in there when he's rotating people in and out to see who would fit.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Actually, there's another guy on TV right now for the Green Bay game I'm watching is Darius Shepard. Just caught a punt return. I'm actually hoping he makes the roster. This is an ongoing thing that me and Jay have had, Parker, is I think they're going to keep 6 receivers, but now the fact that how many other receivers have shown talent, I think they're going to keep 7, and I'm calling it. I think they keep 7 receivers. Jay thinks they're only keeping 5 receivers.
I have them keeping 7 as well.
All right, Jay, let's hear your spiel.
It just doesn't. That's too much Mike McCarthy. It doesn't fit the mold of this offense. It doesn't fit what they're going to need to keep. And it really, Parker, it comes down to numbers. And you have to realize the build of this team. Their defense needs the extra guys. The offensive line, the tight end position, the running backs, those are the positions that are actually more important in this offense. And the fact that this offense is learning new things, it's going to lean on the defense a little bit more, which means you need extra bodies. And I'm sorry, but if I'm going to compare the DBs, let's say, and how many they would keep there compared to how well the wide receivers would play, I'm keeping the extra DBs because the DBs have played far better, far more consistent compared to those young wide receivers. I know everybody loves them, but I've always said, now I'm not saying that Lazard or Shepard aren't going to make it, because I really believe that with this new news of the trade and such, Geronimo Allison is a guy that he's
staying.
He's on the bubble for me, man. I think he could be part of
for you, but not for everyone else. Everybody else at Packerland knows he's staying.
Well, that's
he's
solidified his number 2 spot.
Oh, he's not the number 2. That's Montrevious, or that's MVS. Sorry, that's Geronimo Allison is not the.
He doesn't like Geronimo. He never has, Parker. I don't know what it is. I've tried to get him on this bandwagon for years.
He's consistent, but when I watch the tape, he doesn't have consistent explosion off the things. His hand fighting isn't up to par with the other guys. His route running is good, but it's inconsistent. His catching is good and inconsistent, and his body always fails him. So, yeah. He's a good guy, but he's kind of an example of what Dave and I talk about with he's had some big plays. He fits what Dave would call the Randall Cobb mode. He does have big plays, but he has huge stints of not doing anything, and then he gets hurt, and he's not around, and then he comes back before he should. And it's just, look, I know everybody loves Geronimo Allison. I'm not saying he's a bad receiver. I'm just saying don't be surprised if he's not on this team when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, definitely. But as far as me evaluating them, I think Geronimo is a definite second-string wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. At least
it's his
right
connection. Now. It's his connection with Rodgers for me. That's what I lean on.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do too. Yep.
Well, you know what? I've got to come out and say it. How do you feel about how would you feel about Gutekunst possibly trading for like another running back, or say like a veteran inside linebacker who's under contract? Do you think he pulls a move in the next 2 days to be able to do that?
As far as running backs, I don't know. Maybe that's kind of a on the fence type of move for me. But as far as linebacker goes, I think we should, and I think that he definitely should pull the trigger on that. As far as who he gets, that's up in the air for me. I don't know exactly as far as the free agent pool goes. I'm not sure who's out there as far as veteran guys go, but I know I follow Andy Herman, and he lists a lot of the different free agency stuff for Green Bay and all that. So I get some of that information through him, but I'm not really sure who they would end up going after, who would fit Patine's defense all that well. So
I've got a guy in Miami that I've kept in. Sorry about that.
You're good. Go ahead.
I would say I've had a guy in Miami I've had my eye on, and if we could restructure his contract, it's a little high for me, but if we could restructure his contract, is Kiko Alonso. I think he would be really well, or do really well next to Blake Martinez, because even though Oren Burks said it's not as bad of an injury that he had, we don't have a definite timetable on him. And Alonso was deep in the roster, and he'd be a starter day one. I just think he'd be really valuable, but I just don't know if he would take the pay cut to come play for a team that is looking farther beyond the division title.
Mm-hmm. Now, I watched a lot of Kiko Alonso at Oregon because, I was a big Badger fan back in 2011, and I still am now.
Mm-hmm.
But they faced Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl, Oregon did, and I remember Kiko Alonso was a huge part of that defense, and he made a lot of great plays for them back then. So, and I think he's still a great player now, but again, like you said, I'm not sure really either if he's going to want to take a pay cut to come to Green Bay. But with what I'm seeing tonight from Ty Summers, we might not need a trade because he keeps showing flashes, and Curtis Bolton was actually looking real good too, and it was making it tough for me because I really like Summers, but Bolton was given that extra advantage of covering. But Summers, I haven't seen him beat in coverage. That's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, he can't cover. Well, I haven't seen him get beat in coverage. That's the thing. It's always either a safety or a corner that's on a tight end, and Summers is doing his job and he's not getting thrown on. So, who would you put next to Blake in week one? Just asking right off the bat. I would go with Summers.
Jay, what about you?
Personally, look, I think I like Summers, and I've seen flashes, but when he was playing against some better players outside of week 4 right now, and he solidified his spot, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything about that. I still think right now with what Raven Green has shown, and honestly, they don't play a lot of base defense. They just don't. And so there's really that need for more of a hybrid linebacker next to Blake, because Blake is that 3-4 thumper. But when you're playing in a lot of sub packages the way that Patton does, and the 1-4-6 is going to be huge. I know people are just starting to figure this out because they start practicing and seeing it more, but that's really because of how great Kenny Clark already is at 23 years old. I can't say enough about this young man and how much of a stud he already is. He gives them the ability for Patton to do a lot of different things. And look, Raven Green has taken that jump, and he has really shown me that I think he at least deserves a chance to prove that he can't do it, I guess is the best way I'm saying. So I think week 1 right now, starting in the base packages, I'd have Blake and Raven Green in that hybrid linebacker spot until he proves or shows to me that he can't do it. And I think he actually...
Hey, a little bit of breaking news. I got to interrupt. Jay Sternberger is back on the field, has his helmet looking like he might play again. So good news on that. Continue, guys. Sorry.